Well, hi friends, Doc South here, and this video may not, this one might not be for the squeamish, but I thought I just kind of wanted to get it out, just the same. Okay, let me think how to start this thing. Gosh, I was riding. This was long ago, back when I was a rescue person down in North Carolina. I was heading down one of the roads leading into Wilson, North Carolina. And I'd been out on service calls, checking out boilers here and there. And I don't know, come around a bit of a curve, and darned if I didn't happen upon an accident that happened, must have happened like maybe 2 minutes before I got there. Evidently, a log truck and a compact car had a head-on collision. It was a bad wreck. Oh, it was a bad one. The driver of the truck was reasonably okay, but he may have been drunk. I'm not sure. He maybe not. He may have just been shook, but he was kind of walking around in a stupor around the wreck. He could have just been very upset, of course. There was a rescue squad had just arrived for that local town. It wasn't the guys I normally ran with, but I hopped out of the car and offered my services, identified myself, and they said, "Yeah, Bob, we're going to need all the help we can get, boy. Get on over here." And of course, there was a driver in the compact car. Thank heaven, no one else. I went over to him while it was obvious that they were going to need the jaws of life, and they didn't have all the guys on their squad there. So I went over to check out the fellow who had been hit. And he was in bad shape. He was in very, very bad shape. He wasn't bleeding much. Actually wasn't bleeding hardly at all. A little bit nose, maybe some ear, a little bit in the ears maybe. Mouth, of course. And but he had this big hole in his forehead. Evidently a log had come off the truck, a smallish log, and must have clocked him one, and then bounced off somehow and went through the back of the car. He was he was still all in one piece, but that dent in his forehead probably went in about an inch. That's not good. And it was probably about this big around. If you look on my head, it would have been about like that. And pretty much right in the middle. He was out cold, and his breathing was more like like that, which again isn't too good. He was in serious danger of dying. And the door, he was knocked from the driver's side of the car to the passenger side in the crash. The log went right by him like that. But I'm sure it hit him pretty hard, went obviously from the knot on his head. And his head was kind of slumped. And I remember I went and I said, "My gosh, we got to keep him stable. And what I did was I reached in the passenger side window was down. So I reached in with that, and I went around the bar that holds the door, the upper part of the door in place, that the window would normally roll up into. I reached around and I was holding him steady and trying to see if there was, his pupils were widely dilated, and that's a sign of oxygen deprivation. The man's in a jam. And the rescue squad's coming through. I said, "I've got him stabilized. At least I've got his head held still. You guys got the jaws going?" And they said, "Yeah, we're coming over." And they come over with the jaws. I'm holding on to his head. And they Now, the jaws of life, you got to understand, if you get yourself pinched in the jaws of life, your whatever's getting pinched is probably going to come off because they're very powerful, very powerful. And they're working on this door and they're having trouble getting it to move. Again, it was wildly dented and it was pretty much mangled. And they're trying to get it from, you know how where the door opens up and there's like a there's like a another like a support, yeah, behind the door, you know, alongside the door, between the door and the back seat. Okay, they're working on it that way, figuring they can get it to open, then get him out. But when they were doing that, I'm holding the fella again. He's breathing. It's just he doesn't have much time left if we don't get this figured out. And all of a sudden, the jaws of life went real fast and popped, and I pulled my hand out. And I pulled my hand out from reflex, and the guy's head went like that, and I noticed that I don't think he was breathing much anymore after that. We did get him back stable, you know, back to stable, but it wasn't like it was. His breathing now was very, very quiet and very labored, and they got him out. I said, "Gosh, I think he may have severed something in his central nervous column there. What do you think?" And they said, "Maybe, son." They said, "But you did all you could. We don't blame you." You know, I said, "Gee, I shouldn't have pulled my hand out." And they said, "No, what are you going to do? You could have lost your hand just then." I said, "Yeah, but oh my." And they said, "Well, no, you did as good as you could. We got to get him to the hospital. Let's get him. We thank you so much. We'll get in touch with you." Well, it turns out the fella died en route, I believe, or died shortly after getting to the hospital. And to this minute, I still blame myself. I do. I shouldn't, but I do. It's just something that happens. I guess what I'm getting at is you run into people. I just had a mild dose of what I guess would be post-traumatic stress from that event. I didn't have it too bad. Think of all the people and all the soldiers that have gone into battle and the things they had to do, and probably again, and the things they saw, the injuries they saw for their own guys, and even the injuries they saw for the enemy. In most cases, if they had met the enemy under better circumstances, they probably would have all just gone out and got drunk together. Maybe had a mild fist fight, that'd be about it. And they'd stagger home and laugh about it, something to tell their grandchildren. But a lot of soldiers have way worse PTSD, I think, than we realize. And it's sort of sad to see what's going on in the Ukraine, because this is going to be something, just one more mess from the whole darn thing, when they could have all just as well been friends. It's sort of sad. I expect one day I'll meet this fellow up in heaven when my time comes, and he'll just, hey, you did the best you could. You know, I tell you what, I know a good pizza joint here on the just beyond the pearly gates. Come on, let's go. My treat. You know, I don't think it's going to be that bad, and hopefully the soldiers that all fought so against each other will have that. Perhaps they'll come around too, and everything will be okay. But I guess if I seem to be against the idea that they're fighting in the Ukraine, it just seems like it was something that could have been done. The results would have been much better if it was done peacefully instead. It doesn't make sense to folks be killing themselves over, killing each other over this thing. It just doesn't seem to make sense. I don't blame the Ukrainians for wanting to hold on to their country. And what are the soldiers going to do on the Russian side? They got to go, or they'll be killed. It's not good. Got to watch who you vote into office, I guess, sometimes, don't you? Anyway, I just thought I'd say it's. I hope I didn't make anyone a squeamish kind turn green from this video, but I guess if I take death serious, it is pretty serious. Get right down to it. The afterlife, from what I understand, is pretty cool, but it's that dying part that's kind of rough. Anyway, I'll see you later. God bless, and bye now.